some of the lineup pieces out, even over these last couple of days. I think that's a good thing. I think there's a lot of guys that contribute. We use a lot of guys to contribute throughout a game, throughout a weekend. On the rotation side, Blake Money will start Friday. Kale Hilliard will start Saturday, and Sunday is to be announced.
And are you wanting to do kind of what you talked about? Utilize a bunch of different guys in those first couple of games?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, first off, with that, we win one game at a time and take nothing for granted. So if we're utilizing someone, it's to win that game. It's not to try to see what happens, for the future. I think the goal is to win as many games as you can and figure out your best combination while you're doing it. And so that's kind of how I've always liked to do it, and that's how we'll continue to do it here.
And as far as your lineup, is that something that you like to keep kind of close to the vest?
Yeah, there's just no reason to put it out there. I think you're pretty, if you've been paying attention, it's pretty easy to see where most of the pieces of that are. Again, though, I think it's with 12 and 14 guys that probably are capable of starting on, any team. In a lot of my individual meetings, I had a kind of a theme that kind of came up. It's like if we put you in with whoever you think the next best 8 guys are, the lineup would flow and function and move the same. And I think that's a tribute to our depth. So we utilize it and try to put those guys in good spots to be successful. And like I said, figure it out as we go.
What did you like about Money in that Friday role? What was he kind of showing you to deserve that first chance?
Yeah, I think he's got great stuff. I mean, you're talking about a fastball up to 96 miles an hour with 2 to 3 plus pitches on the strike. So I think in its simplistic answer is he has a lot of traits that you need to win. And so he's throwing a lot of strikes, he's competing at a high level. And for me, it's just more about the reliability of the person in terms of I think he'll handle the game well and get us off to a good start.
The catching position is also where you have a lot of depth. Who's going to be getting that start on Friday? Are you going to switch it up a little bit this weekend?
Yeah, I haven't pulled the final trigger on that yet. I have an idea that right now, as I've said, Alex and Tyler are both going to play. Both of them are certainly capable of playing. It's been good to have Hayden Travinsky back as well because it gives us a little bit of depth. Hopefully there's no injury situation, but it helps in that regard. Also helps for pinch hitting and getting other guys involved in the game if need be. That you have 3 guys that you can rotate through there. But I think Alex has done a great job on both sides of the ball, and Tyler as well had a really good fall and is starting to come alive in terms of taking some of the quality swings that we saw in the fall here, the last 400 or 500 squads. That's okay.
Do you know what Maine's throwing at?
Yeah, I think it's 3 right-handers. Brent Irwin is going to start on Friday. He's a transfer from UC Davis. And then they have Noah Lewis on Saturday, who was in their rotation last year. And I don't want to announce the name wrong, but it's Jordan Chulafan. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but he's a right-hander that transfers from Richmond, I believe.
And talking about yourself personally, how would you compare the feeling going to your first game to LSU's head coach compared to your previous 3 schools?
I think it's exciting. I think opening day is always awesome, and I've always prided myself on having our team ready to play on the first pitch of the season. And honestly, my focus is there. I think here, the uniqueness of the excitement of everybody else around the program is much more significant. So that's exciting, and I'm excited for our players. And if you think about it, I wasn't around here last year, but it didn't seem like they got that full experience throughout the season because of COVID and fan restrictions and all of those types of things. And then the season before was cut short. So I think fans, players, coaches, everybody is ready to kind of get it back to maybe what it was a few years ago, and I'm certainly one of those people.
Trey Morgan talked to us about kind of his progress through the off season, and he kind of described it as like last year he just went up and hit, and now he's actually thinking and knowing how to go up there and hit. How have you seen his growth?
Yeah, he's a real hitter, and I've dropped a Tony Quinn comparison. That was the first guy that came to mind, and I'm talking relative to the college level, but he's our best, most consistent guy right now. in terms of driving the ball in the gaps, making solid contact. Not a surprise because he has so many good attributes in terms of hand-eye, plate discipline, and he's really gotten stronger. And we just made a couple small adjustments to tap into his ability to get the ball off the bat with more authority without giving up, those other traits. And I think that's just a testament to how good he can be. And it's been fun to watch, and I'm excited to see him get up to the plate a bunch.
You talked about some of your pitching being ahead, I guess. Have your guys got enough at-bats now to kind of catch up?
Yeah, we scrimmaged last night, a 6-inning game last night, which was really good. I thought it was, and I think we've been good in all phases. I'm not going to ever be satisfied walking out of the scrimmage. I think the pitchers have done a good job throwing strikes. We've played defense at a really high level. I think the last 4 scrimmages, neither team has made an error. And that is a really good sign because that's something that can come to the park every day. And then offensively, I love the home run thing and the ability to change the game with one swing of the bat. It gives you some margin for error, both in the pitching, the defense, or until the rest of the hitting comes up. But we're not a complete team yet, and we have to continue to get better in terms of the at-bats that we take, at least if you're talking about the standard that we want to play here. I think the players are putting good effort into that, and I think that we will get there. I just think we're not there today.
Do you approach it differently early in the season, knowing guys are going to need some tune-up time, or do you try to be consistent throughout the year?
Kind of meet them where they're at type thing. We have a very deliberate system of development and going from A to B to C to D to E. And then, we've gotten exposed a little bit, which, colder weather, good pitching, guys doing a good job, playing good defense, some hits get taken away from you. Umpires are trying to settle in scrimmages. So the odds have been stacked against them a little bit. So I think having to fight through some of those things is something this team needs. I think we need to build a brand of toughness. So I don't think it's all bad. I think we've grown, over the last week. I mean, if you're a casual observer and, maybe some of the better guys were playing together, it's like you see 8 runs up on the board and go, oh, great, they're locked in. Well, I have a different expectation, not just in terms of scoring 8 runs, but the quality of the at-bats that are taken. So, and it's our first year with these guys, so we gotta get the learning and the developing. That's going to continue to take place throughout the season.
What do you attribute the defense? That kind of, no errors in 4 games?
Yeah, I think the athleticism of the team is strong. I think when you look at getting Jordan Thompson back and healthy, I think he's probably the most improved player in the program, or one of the 2 or 3 most improved players in the program on both sides of the ball. I think that helps. I think Cade Doty is such a good athlete. Like when I look out there, I see like major league player, to multiple positions, his ability to move and control the ball, catching it and throwing it. Dylan's made a nice transition over to center field, and he'll play some center and right depending on how some of the other pieces work. I mentioned Alex. I think you're not going to have a better defensive catcher than that. So you start there, and then Trey's first base play is well documented. So I think there's this good core of athletic talent, and then the fundamental work that Coach Fitzgerald's done with the infielders. I think they've all improved. I think we're trying to do a good job with the positioning thing, put them in position, and then anticipate, learn how to play and what the game is telling you, and getting some of their baseball instincts better. I think it's a combination of all of that.
And those guys set that standard, so the other guys are getting.
Correct. Yes.
You mentioned you're going to be throwing a bunch of guys out there this weekend. Just how have you seen the players mentally prepare for that, and just kind of their potential lineup this week?
Yeah, I think in terms of how they prepare for it, the job of the pitcher is to collect outs until they hand the ball to the next guy. And I think my job as a coach is to try to find out how we best put the whole thing together. And right now, and this is a good thing, there's not a ton of separation because so many guys have been throwing the ball well. So I'm excited to where we can kind of keep guys in a lane of where they can really be successful, build off that, pass it to the next guy. And then through that time, I'm sure we'll evolve into, a guy can go get you 18 to 21 outs. And then now you're dealing with, preferably 10 or less out of the rest of the bullpen. And if we get to that point, then I really like where we're sitting, because you can match up and do those things. The difference is, I think the talent is there. We just don't have that guy that's been through the ringer, for a full SEC schedule. And so that may be where some of the question marks are from the outside. From the inside, I see guys capable of doing it. Now I'm excited to watch him go do it.
Talk about your transition. What have you seen from Jacob and what it's taken for him just on and off the field?
I think he's been himself. He's a hard worker. I mean, I'm going to leave here and we're going to go hit right now. So, I mean, not much has changed in that regard. I think, you know, he's a good person, so it was easy for him to gain the respect of his teammates. Fits in very well. And like I said, I mean, I don't know the impact, you know, off the field of other players asking him about how things go or how things are supposed to be done based on playing for us. But I do know he's earned his teammates' respect, and that didn't take long. And really all we need him to do is just be himself. And I think he will, and will transition very well, and will help us be a much better team because he's here.
I noticed that Jacob was playing a little bit at third base and outfield this weekend. How has he grown defensively, and do you see him being a versatile player out there?
Yeah, for sure. He'll definitely play at both spots, and I think the defense part has really improved. I credit Coach Fitzgerald for the work that he put in. He's a really good athlete. I think you'll be surprised when, you know, the ball moves away from an outfielder. It's going to be two bases when he's running. Has a tremendous throwing arm. We, you know, had him in right field last night, and you know, just one hop in the plate. You know, like the third base coach would have to stop the guy if they were trying to set him from second. So, I think again with players like him and with Dylan, like, you know, they're going to be in there. So it's kind of like how the rest of it takes shape decides what you do with them.
I know you talked. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I know you talked about how you wanted to get more left-handed batters in there. I noticed that Will Safford was out there playing second base this weekend. Do you see him fitting into this lineup this weekend at all?
Yeah. I mean, Will's a good player, and I think he complements the guys that we have. You know, that core group of players incredibly well. He's adjusted. I don't know if adjusted is the right word, but he's fit into, you know, my style of at bats and play incredibly well, and I think has a lot to offer. Has played very good defense as well, so he will get opportunities for sure.
Have you identified any of the back of the bullpen guys?
Yeah, take your pick. I mean, I have faith in all of them. Yeah, I'm really excited about that part of the team.
And then when you're making your lineup as far as offensively, how do you like to approach it? Do you want to sprinkle everybody out evenly, or do you really want to get a concentrated group together?
I think ideally you can do both. I think when you have the best team that you possibly can have, it doesn't matter where you start in an inning, you can score two, is kind of the way I've looked at it. I don't know that we're quite there just yet. I think we will get there.
You also talked about the hockey line changes to some degree. Is that something you've done in the past? Or is that kind of, okay.
Yeah.
So that'll be new, I think. You know, can you explain that? Is it more, you know, get a lead, we're going to protect it with the defensive subs, like something like that?
Yeah, I think what's great about the team is there's a lot of guys that do something well, and you can utilize a skill that they have to help in a certain situation. And some of those guys, that means defense. Some of those guys, that means offense. And so you take one or two spots, and you can combine one player out of three different players and end up where you're not giving up much at any point during the game. You know, whether that's the additional roster spots because of COVID or the fact that it's LSU, I'm not sure. And we have a lot of guys that need to get better in other areas of the game before you can trust them to say, like, hey, this is your role, and go with it. So for now, it makes sense to me to place them where they can make their best contribution.
We talked a little bit about Drew and his hamstring over the weekend. Has he made any progress since then, and do you think he'll be available for the weekend?
Yeah, he played last night and made an unbelievable catch in the outfield. And I would not say he's full strength yet. I would hope by the end of the weekend we might be able to feel we could put him into the game.
Apologize if you already addressed this. Obviously, your job is to make LSU as great as it can be. But when you have a team from Maine coming in, is there a part of you that just appreciates for the game's sake those kids getting a chance to play in a place like this?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I tried to bring us here during the COVID year. I mean, we were 2 days away from coming to play at LSU in the second weekend, and it broke down. That was last year, actually. So I think it's cool. I think it's just great that college baseball's starting. I think there's a little more feel this year, you know, when you see the college football playoff and the stadium's full and all the basketball arenas are full. Like, it kind of feels like we're getting closer to back to normal and how this usually rolls and should roll. And I think it's going to be an awesome environment this weekend, and we're certainly counting on it, and that's great for everybody.
What are you hoping to learn from this matchup this weekend? Any question marks in mind? Or?
I think you pay attention to, for me, I'll pay attention to how players respond. And I think with our team in particular, and I don't think this is a bad thing, some of these guys will be better. And I would way prefer it that way. And so I think that's probably number one. And then number two is, you know, when you get a chance to have games of consequences, you learn where you need to improve. And there's always going to be some of that in the game of baseball. It's just different than football and basketball. So I'm looking to play as well as we can to have success and learn where we need to go, you know, from here and move forward. And we'll practice on Monday, and we'll address the things that we need to be better at, that the weekend tells us we need to be better at.
A lot of your players have talked about circle breathing. Can you describe what that is and how that helps with their mindset?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's an element of mental toughness, and mental toughness is just purely your ability to focus on your job, no matter what else is going on. Is there 12,000 people in the stands? Is it an inter squad where nobody's here? It's the College World Series. You know, what you need to do to take a good at bat is the same in all of those situations, and the game really doesn't change. The people that play the game change. What we're trying to get our players to do is understand what they need to do, the frame of mind they need to be in to do it, and commit to that, and not let failure, distractions change them. And we got work to do on that. I mean, we have to grow up in some ways as a team, and that's natural. That's not a surprise, and I'm looking forward to watching players do that.
You're pretty detail-oriented guy. Anything you didn't get checked off the box?
I'm sorry?
Anything you weren't able to check off?
You know, I think we need to play now. I think to expose those things that we need to improve on, we need to play somebody else. And like I said, you'll find out with some of the guys, like I have a pretty good idea what we're getting, and I'm good with that. Like I said, I think the game is going to make them even better, which is great. I'm looking forward to seeing that. But I think we need to play. We don't have maybe everything in that maybe you would in the second year or the third year, and that's okay. I mean, my thing is to cut it in half and master the things that happen the most. And I think we're pretty good on some of those things, and looking forward to watching these talented guys do that with the right mindset, and then you can really talk about doing stuff, doing good